Welcome to this episode of Shop Talk Express. Today I'm back with Craig Phillipson, Managing Director of Shopworks. Thanks for joining me, Craig.
Oh well, it's great to see you again, and obviously looking forward to seeing you in person in Boston and in Atlanta with Nax.
That's for sure. That's coming up soon, a couple more weeks.
Yeah,
So,
it's come around very quickly.
doesn't it always?
Yeah.
So let me jump right in. So Shopworks focuses on helping retailers create solutions that deliver memorable shopping experiences. And today we're going to talk about the EV customer experience. So Craig, most convenience retailers offer more than just the basic Cokes and smokes, as we say over here. A little more than gas and petrol these days. They have cafes, QSRs, car washes, electric vehicle charging, you name it. How can retailers make sure that customers take notice of all these things and take in the full experience?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question to get us kicked off with, and obviously we're going to talk about EV drivers a little bit later, because they're kind of a slightly different customer that we're all discovering. But in essence, petrol forecourt retail has come a huge way since the early days of fill your tank and then get something on impulse or distress, and now it's much more about the planned purchase. There's a wider range of offers, and what my colleague Caroline talks very eloquently about is about mapping the customer journey, probably from the Shopworks perspective, from almost about half a mile or half a kilometre away, and taking customers through that customer journey and understanding the different steps along the way. What are they seeing? What are they responding to? And what do you want them to see and respond to? So, whatever it is you want to highlight, start with the pole sign, then their trip onto the forecourt, then when they're at the pumps, then move them on from the pumps to the parking, from the parking into the store or the QSR or the cafe. And as we always talk about, and you always smile when I talk about it, but the active arc of shopping is 60 degrees. That's, outside that's your peripheral vision. And to sell something to somebody, you've got to guide them around deliberately, and you've got to get them within 1.2 meters of your product or service to sell it to them. So, what we always talk about is look at the customer journey that you have, understand the shopping missions, and then blend the two to expose products or services to the danger of being sold.
Certainly. And I mean, I obviously you've got to get them into the store. So you talked a little bit about getting them, like, their eyes right, whether it's from when they're getting out of the car or whatever it is they're doing, guiding them into the store. So what are some other tips to engage them? So how do you really just get them to leave the plug in the car? Hopefully not the petrol pumper, but how do you get them into that store, especially if you want to start talking about that electric vehicle customer now?
Yeah, well, there's conflicting evidence about EV drivers. The figures that we have seen range all the way from only 25% of them are getting out of their cars to do something else, up to 78%. So there probably isn't the wealth of data that we need in order to really understand what those customers are doing, and they're behaving in a different way. Because most people who have EVs at the moment still are early adopters. They're charging at home or at work, or those kind of cheaper solutions. And those who are on the road have planned their stock generally, and they're a bit further away from home. So it's a slightly different experience, both for the petrol forecourt retail owner and also the customer. So one, make it obvious what it is you're selling inside your store, because they'll only get out if there's really a reason, except perhaps to go to the loo. But so
That's a great reason. That's a perfect reason.
it is a great reason. But again, we're back to that kind of customer journey planning. Tell them from half a kilometre away before they get on the site what your offers are via the pole sign. Tell them as they park what the offers are. Let them have a good visibility into the spaces that you have, so that they know what's going on inside. And if all of that fails, what we really have to start considering now is taking the offer out of the shop or the QSR or the cafe and to the person who sat in their car, waiting for half an hour. So it's we also need to flip it on its head and say, what do we do to take our offer to the person that's in the car?
How would you measure that it's working, if that is the case? And then also, kind of part to that question to follow up, how do you suggest taking that to that person in the car? So that was a
Well,
two-parter.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. So part one, you probably enter somebody leaving the building and taking it out to the car in the same way that you would do with if it was Deliveroo or one of the other delivery, but you're in control of that. And what was the other question?
The other question is, how do you measure that it's working?
Uh,
What are some important KPIs that the retailer should pay attention to, whether they're doing what you just suggested or even just getting that customer in?
yeah, I mean, KPIs is it's another good question and something that we have been really banging the drum about for some time, and in its crudest format, to make more money, you've got to increase the number of customers that you have, or increase their frequency, or increase their conversion, or increase the basket size, so the amount of things they do on the site. And in order to do all of those things, what we really need to do is keep score. And in order to keep score, what we're seeing now is the need to blend lots of different technology. So you've got to be able to say, okay, all those people that are outside, what's my best way of tracking them? And that might be geofencing, or it might be using your security cameras, or it might be physical counting, or a new camera system. Then how do I track them through the store? Again, you might use your CCTV, you might have a separate system, you might use thermal tracking, you might just use people with iPads. And then how do I connect that to my EPOS system so that I know what people have bought? And sometimes also, because you've got QSRs and cafes and car washes and everything else that we talked about right at the start, it's about integrating all of the EPOSs. So it's almost what we talk about now is kind of system multitasking. Lots of people have got security systems. Well, let's not just use them for security. Let's understand what they can do for us when we have traffic data or people data, and so it goes on. Use your CCTV to track the customers, and all of that can be done within the GDPR compliance framework. And what you can then do is understand the interdependencies of your businesses. So how many cans of Coke are you selling per litres of fuel? How many people are you getting out of their cars who are charging with EV to buy something else? And what does that mean for you in terms of your total turnover? And then you can start to pull the levers and understand how you're pulling the levers in order to drive your profitability.
So, in other words, it's important to measure and just not throw things at the wall and see if they stick. But in addition to that, make sure that you're really paying attention to make sure that each lever that you pull is really impactful.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And if I can stress it again, keep score. Because if you keep score, you know what you're doing. And if you know what the score is, all you need to be is better next week than you were this week.
Well, that's a guide for life, Craig. So thank you. That's just basic life skills. As always, I learned a lot from you. But where can people find more about this and talk to you as well?
Well, there's lots on our website, www.shopworks.co.uk, or email me, craig@shopworks.co.uk, or we're linked through the Global Convenience Store Focus website.
Perfect. Well, thank you as always. And I look forward to seeing you and speaking with you again.
Thank you, Carolyn.